Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Ruben Amorim fantastically rips up the celebration book and says Liverpool win means nothing. It's all about Brighton. We'll be talking about those Amorim quotes. Also, the latest on Angelo Stiller, as Sky reports from Germany that the price has been set for Stiller. Could he be an option for Manchester United? Should he be an option for Manchester United? And tonight, I've got a very big treat for you. It's actually to do with De Ligt and Yoro. We're going to compare them this season on a multiple of different things like aerial duels, defensive duels, passes out from the back. And we're going to compare them against the three best centre-backs in the Premier League just to see how well they are performing, because I think they're both doing fantastically well at United at the moment. But how are you doing this evening? Good to be back. It was great to be in the studio this morning. You know, it is our studio and I don't really get there enough, so I enjoyed it being there. It was a great show this morning. I really did enjoy it. So thanks everyone who tuned in. If you haven't, I was up in Manchester. Yeah, we've got a lot to get into. A little bit early tonight because it's the Champions League, which we're doing on That's Football, but that's not going to stop us. We've got loads to get into. And I really want to delve into these Ruben Amorim comments because, yes, the Amorim outers are still there. They might be silent, they might be vocal. But I like Amorim. I always have. I want him to do well. I don't necessarily believe he will, but I want him to do well, and I love the way he speaks. So I want to get into these quotes about why he's ripping up the celebration book from Liverpool already, because it's just another win, and we need to go again. But before we get into that, we are sponsored by Boohooman. I'm looking around, but I've just realised that's another different brand. So we are sponsored by Boohooman, which we will have some trivia for you. But if you don't know what Boohooman is, get over to boohooman.com. They've got all sorts of clothing for you. Trousers, underwear, Netflix and chillwear, shackets, T-shirts, coats. They've got the lot. Ridiculously well priced. Delivered to your door, and you can get an extra 10% off with the code Goldbridge. They've got lots and lots of discounted items already, so if something's 50% off, you can still use the code Goldbridge, and that will get you the 10% on top of that. So check that out. Get all your autumn wear there this season using the QR code next to me or scanning, go through the link in the description. They also are brilliant at Boohooman because they like to get involved with you lot, and they like to give you something that's relevant to United. A exclusive Goldbridge code discount and a bit of trivia. So I don't know the answer to this, so I'm playing with you as well. I was born on July the 1st, 1976. They're older than me. They're older than me. I started my professional career in 1993 and I joined PSV in 1998. My performances there caught the attention of Man United, and after a year-long injury delay, I joined United in 2001. Whilst at United, I won the Premier League, the FA Cup, the League Cup and the Community Shield, was twice the Matt Busby Player of the Year and scored 150 goals in just 219 games before leaving for Real Madrid. After spells with Hamburg and Malaga, I hung up my boots in 2012, and in 2024, I returned to United as interim manager, and some stupid fans wanted me to keep the job. I've added that little bit in. It is, of course, Ruud Van Nistelrooy. Well done to everyone who got that, and a big shout out to Boohooman. Don't forget to check out the code Goldbridge and the website and get your stuff from there. Just very quickly, before I get into anything, I want to just talk a little bit about what's just come out from Fabrizio Romano on Zirkzee. He says Zirkzee's working hard to get more game time and help the squad, while he's always being positive with his teammates and is really appreciated in the dressing room. He isn't creating any problems and hasn't said anything to Amorim about any issues, but his situation must be monitored because he is not playing much and he doesn't want to miss out on the opportunity to compete at the World Cup. At the moment, Zirkzee is focused on United and trying to get more space. He's training at his best, but if the situation doesn't change by December, this will be, or could be, a story to follow. So tell me something I don't already know. Write 3 paragraphs without telling us anything new. That's what people in the chat will say. I mean, look, Fabrizio Romano's probably been asked about that, and I could have told you that, and I don't have the sources that Fabrizio has. Yeah, look, Zirkzee wants to be involved in this team, but he can't get involved at this with his team at the moment. So if that doesn't change, then he might leave. To be honest with you, I don't think he's going to the World Cup anyway. I don't think he'll get in the World Cup squad anyway. So maybe he can stay for the season. That'd be good. Maybe somebody should say to him, you're not getting in the World Cup squad anyway, so why don't you just stay with us for the season and we'll get a better price in the summer. But I like Zirkzee, I just don't see a way back. And I think when you're so far behind, you've got to be ruthless. You've got to be aggressive. What I've always said, RA, ruthless aggression. You know, that's what we need at Manchester United. Ruthless in getting rid of people, aggressive in getting in the right people as well. So look, let's wait and see what happens with that. But I wanted to start off talking about these quotes from Ruben Amorim because I absolutely love it. It's almost like we dream the same dream, we want the same thing. He's singing from the same hymn sheet because he said this. When asked about where this result against Liverpool ranks in his career, I think that's a really dangerous question for him as well, because it's really provocative in a really easy way. You know, where does this result at Anfield for Man United rank in your career? And if he jumps in there and goes, it's the best result of my career, it's brilliant, it's the start of something, and then it's not the start of something, he looks naive. So I actually like the intelligence of the answer he gave, because he said this, I hope the best one in my career will be against Brighton, because it's the next one. This one, Liverpool, is in the past. People will forget. We have 1 week. You're going to talk about a lot of things, so it doesn't matter. Today they can enjoy. Tomorrow we focus on Brighton. And I think that is exactly what we need from this manager. And he goes on to say, I don't think so much about this result. I'm enjoying it. Just the feeling of seeing my players fighting and celebrating together. That can help us create a bond. That's the best thing in my life. I don't know whether this has been done before at Manchester United. I don't know. When you think about all these results we've had in the past, like against Man City, against Arsenal, against Liverpool, I think we've beaten them in the past. And then the following week we mess up. It's happened a lot. Or not even the following week, you know, maybe the week after. We've messed up from this situation quite a lot. But I think what Amorim is doing is almost trying to go down the path less travelled. Yes, we all know it's a fantastic result against Liverpool. They're the champions. It's at Anfield. They're the best team in the league, many feel. And for us to go and beat them when they're meant to be bouncing back and they're meant to be way better than us is a huge achievement. However, Ruben Amorim is basically saying it's just another result. Enjoy it, but we go to work tomorrow. And that was yesterday. Monday, they're all back at Carrington. And I think it might not work. Maybe it'll work with some of these players, but it might not work with all of them. Maybe some of them want to live off that, you know, for the next 3 months or whatever. But it's very, very clear that Ruben Amorim is just saying, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to dwell on that victory. It's 3 points. Of course, it's bigger than beating Sunderland at home, but ultimately it's 3 points, the same. We needed the 3 points against Sunderland. We needed the 3 points against Liverpool. We really need the 3 points against Brighton. We've got a week to prepare for it, and we're going to work hard for it. There's not going to be any celebrations. There's not going to be nights out at China White or wherever it is they go in Manchester. There will just be training hard and competition for a game on Saturday evening, because guess what? If you're in Europe, you won't be out on the piss. You'd be going out on, we'll be on a plane somewhere to play in the Champions League, and that's where we want to be. So we're going to behave professional. We're going to get back to work, and we're going to go and win the next game. And when we win that, we'll try and win the next game. And I like that, because that is what consistency is all about. People, that is why we're inconsistent. Because we take individual results, we go, yippee, and then we fuck up the following week. I like what Amorim's saying. Yeah, it's good. It's Liverpool. I liked the teamwork. I liked the togetherness. But now it's Brighton. It's Brighton. That's all there is. There's Brighton. And that's why we're a cup team. That's why we've done well in the cup. That's why we won the Carabao with Ten Hag, the FA Cup with Ten Hag, and that's why we got to a final with Amorim. We've been to 3 cup finals in the last 3 years. Some people would love that, and yet our fan base is not happy with United. We're going through a really bad patch, aren't we? You know, this is the worst United side in Premier League history. This is terrible. You know, we're on the edge. You know, we're at the bottom of the cliff, and yet we've been to 3 cup finals in 3 years. Some people would bloody love that. Arsenal would probably love that, even though they're in a title race. They don't go to cup finals. So we have been to 3 cup finals because we're inconsistent. It's because when you win a cup game, you don't play the next week. You win a cup game and you go, yeah, pat on the back. Let's enjoy that for a few weeks. Next game, yeah. Man United like to play 1 game a month. That's why we're good in the cups. We love to play 1 game a month. Turn the switch on for that and then have 3 weeks off. Save the electricity. And that's what Amorim's bloody aware of, isn't he? He's fully aware of that, and he's trying to get a team that plays well every game. And that's why Brighton is more important than Liverpool. And I think he's right. I don't know whether you agree with me. I don't know whether you agree with Amorim. I actually think he's right. It's great to beat Liverpool, but what does it do? What does it do, really? Bragging rights? What does that mean at the end of the season when Liverpool finish above us anyway? It's great to beat Liverpool, but yeah, we probably should just enjoy it for 24 hours and get to work. And I don't think he gave it that long before he went to work. So we've got to, it's small-minded. It is small-minded, but it's like Everton beating Liverpool, isn't it? But Liverpool win the league and Everton finish in the bottom 4. We have to become consistent. That's what we have to do. And I think Amorim is absolutely correct about that. 100%. Ruben is too wealthy to take anything too serious. It's his pleasurable hobby, which I don't mind if he's successful. I don't know what you're talking about, Lewis. I've never known anything about Amorim and his wealth. 3 cup finals should be in one season. That's Man United's level, says Savage. We finished in 15th place last season. We can't be satisfied with that, says G-Man. And I don't think he is, mate. I don't think he is. And I think that is what he's trying to instill. It's almost, it's not telling them off, but it's almost going, well, look, yeah, you beat Liverpool, but you lost to Brighton. Yeah, you beat Liverpool, but we finished 15th. You know, you're not back. I think it's just a kick up the arse. I think it's like, don't you fucking dare start thinking you're great again. Don't start thinking you're it again, because you're not. And even if we beat Brighton, you're not. What was it somebody said last night? For Ruben Amorim's win ratio to hit 54%, he's got to win the next 14 games. That's how bad his win ratio is. So he knows he can't rest on one result because he doesn't want to be in a position after Spurs where he's not won since Liverpool going, I know you're all saying Amorim out, but remember Liverpool. Remember Liverpool. I know I've just been battered by Spurs, and you're all saying Amorim out, but let's remember Liverpool. And he knows that. He can't do that. He's got to win. He's got to win. I like it. I like what he's doing. I really, really do. But some people maybe don't agree. Daniel Thompson does agree. He says, I agree with Amorim. The result versus Liverpool was fantastic, but will mean little if we don't build on it and build good consistency. So I like that minded. Every game for us is a cup final. And how many of you have said that, Daniel, as well? I mean, I don't want to say, there are some people out there who say, yeah, the Liverpool result wasn't actually that good. Like, when you watch it back, Liverpool really should have won that game. I don't agree with that. Because everybody can re-watch a game. Everyone can go, oh, this, oh, that, shoulda, woulda, coulda. We did win the game. We deserved to win the game. It wasn't resounding, but I wouldn't expect it to be at Anfield. It's a really good result, but ultimately, I want to finish the season in the top 4 or 5. I don't want to finish the season 10th going, but at least we won an Anfield Cup. You know, and I don't think that's what Amorim wants either. Brighton are more organised than Liverpool, bigger test. These are the kind of teams we've struggled against. We need to win this and Spurs. I think, Siraj, you're right. I think there'll be a lot of excitement on Saturday night when we do beat Brighton. But then, on the Monday, I think it's getting ready for Forest and Spurs, which are 2 difficult away games. It never stops. That's the point. We must get into this mindset because it's a winning mindset. When you win, enjoy it for a brief time and then go to work. Because a cup, you get a cup. In the league, it's not over till May. It's just one game and then you're on to the next one. That's how a league table works. I remember, look like I'm milking a cow. I remember that. Some of you remember that. Winning a league, I remember back in the Sir Alex Ferguson days, it was nice. It was nice when you beat Liverpool in the league. It was nice when you beat Arsenal in the league. But you also went, what's next? You know, where are they in the league now? It's amazing how quickly people forget that when we used to beat Liverpool, you'd look at the league, and if they were now 4 points ahead of us because we beat them, you'd go, where's the next game they're going to lose? We've got to go and win the next 3. Or if you beat Arsenal, and it was like the late 90s, you'd go, right, we're 4 points ahead of them now. We can't fuck up. We've got to keep winning. That's what you did with results in the league. That's what we need to get back to doing in the league. They're not cup games. Liverpool aren't out. Arsenal aren't out. Chelsea aren't out. We've got to play them again. We've got to, you got to go and get your points. I was in Manchester today and I'm getting an Uber into Manchester City Centre. I was talking to a City fan and he was saying, you know, United did well. You know, United did do well against Liverpool. I watched the game. They did quite well. And I said, that's not the problem though. We did well against Arsenal. We did well against Chelsea. We did well against Liverpool. Look at Brentford. Look at Fulham. These are the games that Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool normally just go and win. We really struggle in them, and that's what it's not just about winning the league. That's what second place does. That's what third place does. That's what fourth place does. Yes, the headline games are Liverpool and Arsenal and Man City, but they're all 3 points. No point beating Liverpool, Arsenal and Man City home and away and then drawing both games against Fulham, losing one to Brighton and drawing one. You know, that's where your situation and your position is solidified. Harry says, do you think Baleba will play next week? Well, that's something I want to talk about later in the week, but I would expect Baleba to... Well, it'd be interesting, won't it? I don't know whether they'll pick him because mentally he's not been there all season for them, has he? You bring him to Old Trafford, every touch will cheer him. You know what United fan base is like. I don't know whether I'd pick a player that has been so unsettled, but I don't know. Is he going to be motivated to do well against us? It could be one of two things. I'd say pick him because he might pass it to Sesko and win it for us. You just don't know. You just don't know, do you? Ray Carl Brown Amori said, I wouldn't be surprised if United fans were cheering him on Saturday. It's the sort of banter thing that you'd probably expect. I don't want it to be an audition, Tris Fitz. No, I really hope he doesn't turn up and go, I'm going to play brilliant to prove you wrong. If he plays brilliant and those 3 points cost us Champions League football, we won't be able to bloody afford you, mate. If I could get a message to Baleba, it would be this. Don't come to Old Trafford and have a worldie. Because if you win with Brighton, those 3 points will probably cost us buying you. Like we need, if you want to come to Man United, we need to beat Brighton, home and away. So if you're involved in those games, put in a generational stinker. That would be great. Ray Carl Brown Amori, how you doing, Ray? You legend. He says, "Is it time? It's time for Brighton to end our losing streak to them to this game. It's going to be hard." I've got to say, I think a lot of people are hyping Brighton up. I mean, it is for later in the week, but I do think a lot of people are hyping them up. Anyway, I know Beth spoke about this on the 2 o'clock show, but I felt I needed to revisit it with my opinion because this is a player I really like. So Sky Germany are basically saying that the price has been set for Angelo Stiller and it's going to be 50 million euros. He is in the shortlist of Manchester United options. The German's contract expires in June 2028. It also contains a release clause worth about 40 million euros. However, Stuttgart can annulate this clause by paying 2 million euros. Yeah, basically, it's expected to be about 50 million euros. And look, obviously, if you watch That's Football, and you watch us on a Friday night, then you'll know that we do the Bundesliga and you know that we do highlights of all the goals every week as well. So this season for me, I've watched the Bundesliga more than any other league apart from the Premier League. Stuttgart are doing really, really well. Despite Walter Maeder leaving, they are doing really well. I think they're third or fourth in the Bundesliga, which is probably a little bit higher than you would think when you think about the likes of Leipzig, Frankfurt, Dortmund, Leverkusen, Bayern Munich. So they're doing really, really well. He's basically the guy there. He runs the midfield. I like him. I do like him. I really do. I mean, I've got him on my FC 26 career mode, so I obviously like him. Left-footed player, tenacious, good on the ball. There's something Bruno about him, not in the positional sense, but in the orchestrator sense. He's got that sort of importance about him, and if Man United decide he's the player to go for, and there are hints that it might be because of Faval again and how he understands the Bundesliga, and obviously a lot of clubs are fishing in the Bundesliga pond now, as we saw in the summer. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was a player that we looked at, because reasonable price as well. I mean, I'm not saying 50 million euros is cheap, but Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, Carlos Baleba, you can probably double that. So, you know, United, I hope, are looking at him. I think they are looking at him. And I think if they are, it'll be Faval who's pushing it. And realistically, what you've got to do, as I was saying the same with Yulman this morning at Sporting, is you've got to look at the player and then you've got to look at Baleba. And you've got to look at Elliot Anderson, you've got to look at Wharton. And you've got to go, for half the price, are we getting half the player? Or for half the price, are we basically getting the same player? Because if we're getting the same player, you go for the player that's cheaper, don't you? Because it gives you might be able to get two. You know, you might be able to get two players in. So I like Stiller. I would suggest that you give him a watch, but I certainly think he's a very very good player at a very, very good price, comparable to what we're going to have to pay for some of the other names mentioned as well. So that's my thoughts on it. A few people had asked me about it, but I know Beth spoke about it in more depth at 2 o'clock, but I like it. Ultimately, I think we should have bought a midfielder in the summer. Slow Sports News. Have been driving my Audi today, actually. Yellow tie. I didn't have a yellow tie on, and I wasn't eating crunchy nut cornflakes because I just don't believe in eating and driving. I don't believe in drink driving either. But I really don't believe that you should be eating a bowl of cereal while driving, even if it is an automatic with lane correction technology. But no, I like Stiller. But all I would say is that we should have bought a midfielder in the summer. We didn't. So whoever we're going to move for, and I would suggest we go for 2, is going to be very interesting. And it could be a vast array of players. You know, we mentioned Joe Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Yulmland, Wharton, Anderson, Baleba, Stiller. There's a market there, the same as the striker market this summer. So United need to get it right. They need to get it right because it's such an important area. Would you want Amorim to win the next 5 games in 5 different ways, or win 3 games with repeatable identity? Style against Liverpool isn't long-term in my opinion, says Suraj. I actually do understand what you're meaning. Look, what I want to see is a vision, Suraj. I think against Chelsea and Liverpool, we saw a manager that relied on experienced players and dropped inexperienced players. Like Yoro, Dorgu, Sesko were not trusted against Liverpool, but they are the future. So I would like to see us transition from the necessity to the vision. And so I would like to see against Brighton, Dorgu, Yoro, Sesko back in at Old Trafford on the front foot. That's what I would like to see. But, you know, that's my honest answer. I actually want to see the future. I've seen the past. And I'm not saying that Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire and Casemiro and Mason Mount can't be part of the future, but they can't be part of the long-term future, no. So I do want to see that. But ultimately, it's about winning against Brighton, isn't it? And all I would say is, as I said on Sunday, there was a few team selections I didn't like, but the volume of people that were going, that's it, I'm Amorim out. I mean, there was people doing super chats half an hour before the game saying, I've always been Amorim in, but this is the last straw. And I'm like, no, stop, please. I'm trying to help you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go on a team news. I took my nephew to his first Man United game years ago. Tell me the year. It was the game where Mourinho was in charge, and it was the game where Herrera basically stalked Hazard. I can't remember what year it was. And it was my brother-in-law, my nephew, me and my stepdad drove up there. And we went. We were in the Trafford pub at the crossroads up from Old Trafford, and the team news came out, and I looked at the phone and I went, "Oh God!" And my nephew was like, "What?" I was like, "Don't worry about it." I was like, "We're definitely getting beat. We're definitely getting beat. That team is shit." And we won 2-0, and that always 2017. Thank you. And it always sticks with me that I just remember looking at that team news and going, fucking hell, his first game at Old Trafford's going to be a loss. And we picked it out because it was like Mourinho, Chelsea, Man United. And we won 2-0. So I very rarely, I'll always express my disappointment with the team selection, but I'll never jump to conclusions because, as we saw at the weekend, it's time and time again, it will bite you in the arse. Wait till full time. Controversial opinion, says Tabiz. We didn't win against Liverpool because Ruben, but despite of him. Our worst player was Bruno and Delo, his favourites. I see no difference in the Liverpool result and beating Lyon. We won't get top 6. I don't know whether it's controversial, mate. I think time will tell, and I don't think you're singing in the darkness on that. I think there are some people that would agree with you with that. Personally, my opinion, just to give it alternatively, is that, yeah, I don't think Delo at left wing back was a good idea. And if Mo Salah hadn't played shit and he played really well, that could have been in the end of Amorim. And I don't think it was a risk that worked. I don't think Delo kept Salah quiet. I thought Salah was shit. So, yeah, that could have gone wrong for him. Bruno in the midfield could have gone wrong for him. Yeah, I agree. Those two things could have gone wrong for him. But Bruno Fernandes put in a world-class cross at the end of the game. Harry Maguire scored a very good header. Mbeumo scored a very good goal in the first 2 minutes. Bruno should have scored another 2. We defended well. We invited the pressure and then countered. So there was a lot of things that he did that were on him, as I said this morning. But time's going to tell. I still think there's a lot of people thinking, you know, negative thoughts. If we can get Stiller and Wharton/Anderson for 100 million instead of Baleba, plus add Grimaldo or DeMarco at left wing back, that's smart depth and a bright future, says Mika. Lee Galdot says, I've rewatched the game. Cunha was immense. I know we debated getting 2 10s, but we're so better with him and Mbeumo. Yeah, we should have just got a midfielder as well, Lee. I still think across the season we're going to go, we should have got a midfielder. Thank you very much, though. Good points. Suraj, we've done that as well. There was something... Salah's fell off, says Jay. I mean, look, I don't know, it's not our job to talk about Salah, but he was crap. Interestingly, though, a lot of people have said that Van Dijk has fell off. Now, we're not here to talk about Liverpool, but it is quite interesting, this, because there's been a lot of glowing up on this channel about De Ligt. And Yoro, I thought, was brilliant against Liverpool. And I thought he was actually brilliant at the start of the season. I thought he was very, very, very unlucky to get dropped after the Manchester derby. But what I've done is basically, I've used Y-Scout, which is the scouting system that a lot of clubs run. You can get a lot of stats on there. So I've basically taken Van Dijk, Ruben Diaz, Gabriel at Arsenal, De Ligt and Yoro, put them all together and thrown it into the system to chuck up the stats for this season in numerous areas. And I tell you what, straight away caught my eye is that when it comes to defensive duels per 90, Lenny Yoro is top. 4.45 defensive duels per 90 to Gabriel's 3.1, Ruben Diaz's 3.4, and Van Dijk's 3.2. Now, you could say, well, that's because Man United are defending more. Well, Liverpool are doing a lot of bloody defending this year as well. De Ligt is actually second with 4.3. And when it comes to defensive duels won, De Ligt is number 1 out of all those. He wins 75% of his defensive duels. Yoro 60%, Van Dijk 74%, Ruben Diaz 65%, and Gabriel 68%. Aerial duels, 4 per game for De Ligt, 4.2 per game for Van Dijk, 4 per game for Gabriel, 3 for Ruben Diaz and Yoro. Win percentage of those aerial duels, 71% Van Dijk, I mean he is big, 54% Diaz, 65% Gabriel, 60% De Ligt and 60% for Yoro. So look, he's holding his own, isn't he? He's statistically holding his own with some of the best centre-backs in the league. And so is De Ligt as well. I mean, I purposely threw De Ligt in there as well. And I just wanted to, I mean, somebody just said, what about their passing stats? I don't think they'll be very good. I genuinely don't. I would imagine Ruben Diaz and Gabriel are, it's crashed now. Okay, better close that down. Maybe we haven't paid. Maybe we haven't paid the subscription. Don't know. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I don't sense as... I don't think we're passing out from the back as much anymore as well, which I think is probably a good thing. Yeah. Somebody was just talking about Rashford here. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, he scored a couple of goals for Barcelona. That's why. Marcus Rashford scored for Barcelona. Just looking at the goal here. Look, it's good he's doing well. I mean, some might say 26 million for Barcelona is cheap. You know what? It's so much easier to talk about a Rashford or a Garnacho when we're doing well. You know? And like Azil says Rashford, it's him. Or, happy for Rashford, says Palace. It ain't cheap, says Doctor Strange. Look, I think what people can't really compute is that it's almost irrelevant to talk about Rashford with any regret. Because if he was still at the club, he'd be shit. Like, he would admit it. He'd still be shit at the club because this is what people won't acknowledge, right? And it's just, it's not because we're saying he's shit. I think he'd acknowledge it himself. Look at the end for him. He didn't play from the middle of December and he didn't play in January at all. So whatever was going on, it was bad. Like, it was bad. Like, whatever was going on, it was bad, right? But in the previous 3 months where Ten Hag was here, it was still bad. So his last season at Man United, or half a season, was bad. It was really, it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. And that's sort of what Rooney was saying last week. It's like, that's on him. That's on the club, but it's on him as well. So it's not like, I think some people think if we'd kept him, he'd start doing this. No, it's the change of scene. It's the girlfriend or boyfriend that you break up with for the right reason, and then 6 months later you see them. They've had their teeth done, their hair done, they're looking great, and you go, I wish they'd done that when they were going out with me. And I've heard other stuff they're doing as well. They never did that, and that's life. That is life. They were never going to get their teeth and their hair done when they were with you. They were never going to do it because they were lacking motivation or whatever like that, And that's why I'm happy for Rashford. I don't look at it with regret. Morons do. Morons start going, Amorim, or bring the star boy home. Doesn't really want to come home for a start. Why would you want to come home? Why would you want to come back to Manchester United and all the problems that are there when you're out in Spain, in beautiful city, with beautiful weather, playing beautiful football? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to come back? So we can be happy about it, and it's a much better conversation when we've just had a good result. Because I think when we've had a bad result, people start throwing stones, and it's like, it's fine for him to do well and wish him well and for him to go, because this was never going to happen at Man United. He had 6 months to do this and he didn't do it for whatever reason. So it's a change, we move on. It's as simple as that. And I just don't think some people can grab it. Obviously, some people at Player FC, that's all they're caring about. But there are still some United fans who go, oh, it was never going to work out. Never going to work out. Rob, Always United, has just gifted 5 memberships. You're an absolute legend, Rob. I'm just going to have a drink. This could take my mouth off. These are very good at keeping your drink warm. Still a bit hot. It's a shame. It's hot Vimto. I tell you what, for the Arsenal game, that's going to be perfect. It's still a bit hot. I just needed to hydrate. I had it in the car this morning on the way to Manchester, and I nearly bloody melted my tongue. Garfield's gifted 5 memberships as well. Garfield and Rob, you're absolute legends, gifting to the community. Get your badge in. Love to see so many badges in the chat. Garfield, Brinsley, Fran as well. Constantine says, is the Grimsby result in the past for us now? Well, by definition, it's in the past because it happened in the past. Yes, Constantine, it is. Let me come into the chat. Not literally, that would be stupid. Can't wait for Man United to go back to their usual form. It's going to be great. It says we are gods. I really hope you're wrong, mate. I've got to say, over the last 48 hours, I've dared to dream. I've dared to dream of European nights. I've dared to dream that we could get top 5. I really want to believe it, but I will just do what Amorim says, take it game to game to game. Look, looking at the Premier League this season, we're still like, what are we, 8th or something like that? But we're only 2 points off 2nd or 3rd. Consistency will get us top 4. It will. I know I said at the start of the season, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal will run away with it, and maybe they still will. But they've all shown vulnerabilities apart from Arsenal. Well, Arsenal showed vulnerabilities at Old Trafford. We gave them the best game. Best team I think we've played is Man City. Chelsea probably would have given us a game with 11 men, but boo-hoo. Who was sponsored by. I think we have shown again already this season that on our day, like we did on Sunday, we can get results. It's only consistency. Consistency is the only thing we need to sign. If we could buy consistency, we'd be fine. But look, there's no point saying we're going to be inconsistent and finish 15th, or we're going to be consistent and we're going to finish 5th. Because nobody actually knows. At some point, things might change. I can see both sides. I can see the turnaround. I can also see the argument. It's the same players we're relying on who've messed up so many times before. I mean, look, I don't know. I know what I would do. I mean, it's not even a bloody secret. I was thinking about not saying it, but if I was playing against Man United, and it's a different game at Old Trafford because it's 75,000 people who can make a massive difference. But if I was playing Man United, I would just swamp the midfield, like literally just swamp the midfield. It's difficult if they're going to sit back and park the bus, but Man United aren't going to park the bus every week. So, like Fulham did in the second half, I would just swamp the midfield. I think that's the way to beat Manchester United. Just absolutely swamp them in the midfield and dominate them. Still the way to beat us, which is why we need to buy bloody midfielders. Samantha Noble says, but look, I still think we can win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. How many multiples of 3 are there in a season? 12. So win 2, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. That's 12 losses, isn't it? You could still do it with that. Thank you very much for gifting a membership, Samantha. Ian Tracy says both the club and Rashford needed to part ways, plus he didn't suit the system anyway. Him playing well increases the chances of him going permanently. I think it's great. Also, look, as well, I'm not saying this against Rashford because I think Rashford obviously wants to play for England anyway and was in the England squad. But have you noticed this season already? I mean, and it might just be a coincidence. And it's not just at United. There's a lot of people that are playing very consistently this season in a World Cup year. There's loads, not just English players as well. I mean, we've already said about Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, Reece James at Chelsea. I don't think I've ever known them stay fit this long. All of them probably get in a World Cup squad for Tuchel. Especially James James will. And I think he already was. He'll put Mason Mount in because he's of the Chelsea connection. I wouldn't be... Luke Shaw's a bit like Darren Anderton if you're old enough. Just get yourself fit for the tournament. So there's a lot of people very motivated by this World Cup. It's going to be a very big World Cup because of where it is. And I think a lot of people are very motivated by that. And some people go, oh, come on, they're professional footballers. They're motivated every season. Well, if that's the case, why do people start playing well in the last month of their contract when they're going to be a free agent? You know, the Willian effect, as we call it. Or maybe it's just a miracle. Maybe it's just a miracle. If it was Christmas, we could call it a Christmas miracle. Cunha was fantastic against Liverpool, says Darren. You're not the first to say that. No, you're not. 5 in a row incoming. That poor lad needs a haircut. I'll tell you what, Sesko lover. I'm doing an Arsenal watch along. Yeah, I'm gonna stop in a minute and head over there. But I tell you what, I hope he gets the haircut, United Strand. But a lot of people have said it. Winning 5 games in a row isn't actually that easy. It isn't. Regardless of who you are, winning 5 games in a row isn't actually that simple. So, hopefully he's got to be getting excited now. He's got to be sat there at night with a pair of scissors, kissing them, going, soon we'll be together. Maybe he gets his mate to do a Zoom call with the scissors and they kisses the screen going, soon we'll be together. I don't know. Apparently, you can't watch Manscaped integrations anymore on the United stand because it makes him cry. Anything that trims hair is like, you know, just it's like paradise. But yeah, I mean, look, I want Man United to win 5 games in a row more than someone getting a haircut. But you'd be thinking, I actually don't think we're going to win 5 games in a row. By the way, I don't. I think, you know what? I think, and this is just to throw it out there prediction. I think we'll beat Brighton. I think we'll beat Forest from what I've seen. But I think Spurs will be a draw. I don't think we'll beat Spurs. Yeah, I don't think we'll beat Spurs, which will be horrible for him, won't it? He's literally there waiting for full time in the barber's chair, and then it'll be a draw, and it'll be like, get out. Man United win this week will make more believers, says John United, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Karan says thoughts on Rashford scoring 2. Literally spoke about it already, mate. He should have included draws. I think you know what? I'd already said it before Liverpool. The games that worry me are the away games. I actually think we're quite good at Old Trafford this season. We haven't had a bad game at Old Trafford. Burnley made hard work of it, but we really, you know, 3 goals at home is not bad, is it? Chelsea was entertaining. Arsenal, we played well. Sunderland, again, was quite straightforward. We've been good at home this season, so I have faith in us. I have faith in us for that. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. I've definitely got faith in you. Absolutely brilliant show. If you didn't watch the morning show, you should go and check it out because I was in the studio. So, and it was a good show, and we didn't talk about anything that we spoke about here. So check that out if you missed the morning show today. Thanks everybody for watching as always. Make sure you smash a like on your way out. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes. And if you're looking for some football action, I'm going to be live on That's Football in 5 minutes. So tune over there for some Champions League football and some chat. I am going to be talking, we have a chat. I saw a TikTok today where somebody did their top 5 pet hates. So I'm going to be revealing them and giving you my thoughts. Talking of which, that's a beauty behind me. That Christmas jumper there is an absolute banger. I was only meant to be there for 1 show, and I'm just going to keep it there because I love it. Remember, you can pre-order yours. We do ship worldwide. When they're gone, they're gone. And we've still got a few left. I think we sold about 50% already. So get hold of one while you can. We do ship worldwide. United Stand Shopify. Search it on Google, or it's probably pinned somewhere around as well. Speak to you in a bit. I'll hopefully see some of you on That's Football. Thanks for watching. Take care.